Welcome back to r/Neighbors from Hell, where people share stories about their crazy neighbors. And if you are new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe to join our amazing community. And without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. And the next story in the Crazy Neighbor from Hell saga is titled Update: Crazy Neighbor from Hell's Evidence and Court Idiocy. We have had several more incidents of animal trespass. Police have been called each time, so Crazy Neighbor from Hell has had a lot of these piling up against his supposed innocence. Go figure. Okay, so the trial of Crazy Neighbor from Hell and his animal trespass charges has been kicked down the road many times. Keep in mind the charges were filed in the fall of 2017. The lawyers and the judge finally came up with a final trial date. So, as trials usually do, there was a discovery period wherein the defendant gives up whatever evidence he has to clear himself, while the prosecutorial side shows what they have that pretty much nails him. Crazy Neighbor has been saying all along that we've been letting his horses out, so we figured his evidence would be something fake to show how we did this somehow. Like, we would do this after his horses already did thousands of dollars of damage to our property? Well, there's no logic in Crazy. Crazy Neighbor once again turned down their plea offer. In total, it would have been less costly to just say guilty, pay the fine and have it be over with, but he's not called Crazy Neighbor for nothing. As it is, he is paying a lawyer over and over for these filings, appearances, a full trial, depositions and all the rest, only to lose this case in the end. If he wins, he will still owe a lot of money which he cannot recoup. He's an idiot. The fine is only $250. The prosecutor forwarded the neighbor's evidence to us yesterday. We had to laugh. It is several photographs of his rickety fence where boards have fallen off. Supposedly we did that, though we are not in the pictures. Also, there's a picture of his power meter showing pretty much nothing, a picture of his tractor's engine, I have no idea, and a picture of some plants in buckets. Again, no idea. Nothing shows us in any picture, no evidence which proves his line of crazy thinking. Not sure what he thought he could accomplish with these photos, but then I'm not certifiably crazy either. The prosecutor was as baffled as we were. And I figure his lawyer is just having a hard time dealing with such an obvious loser case. I have no idea why he would forward these to the prosecutor other than just doing his client's Crazy Neighbor's bidding. He's getting paid, maybe. So ironically enough, in this fall's election, the prosecutor, who is very familiar with this guy in this case, lost his seat. It is not surprising because there's been a lot of bad blood between him and the meth head criminal community which makes up most of this county. He had taken a very hard line with crime and people were not used to this. And now we have a new prosecutor. The new prosecutor is going to be a woman and we have no idea what is going to happen. She could drop the charges if she wanted, but I doubt that because of the 20 or so calls for police on this particular problem. And I intend on keeping this up. But her non-knowledge about things and this guy are not going to necessarily help us. She may think we are as much to blame as he is, we just don't know. I hope she is as communicative as the current P, but we will see. And since there is a new prosecutor, the judge decided to kick this down the road once again so that the new prosecutor can get used to her job situation and be ready. New trial date is in March. We have yet to be called in for a deposition on this thing, but that is coming if the trial proceeds. As a sidebar, last week my neighbor taped a note to our good neighbor's mailbox accusing them of putting dirt in his gas tanks of all his vehicles and tractors. The neighbors promptly took this to the police and the prosecutor, who said they will use it as evidence of his character in the trial. I told the prosecutor to ask for a court-ordered psychological evaluation from a professional. I think that is long overdue. And guys, if you have watched until here, please don't forget to post some star emojis in the comments if you want to support the channel. Thank you so much in advance. Your support really means the world to me and it is crucial to keep my channel alive. Thank you very much in advance. And the next one is titled Crazy Neighbor from Hell's Trial is Coming at Last. Okay, probably too long of a post, but figured if you've been keeping up on these intermittent stories, we are way overdue for a longish update. Crazy Neighbor from Hell finally had his final pre-trial hearing today on the animal trespass trial. It has taken forever for his stupidity to move through the court system. There have been 2 other final pre-trial hearings, but they were not worth wasting your time here. I figured I would write when things got a bit juicy, and today they did. When we last left our crazy neighbor from hell, he was basically being the same crazy dude he has always been, but had one last horse getting out episode. That one he played no part in, but has taken his angst in the opposite direction towards my other neighbors who have had run-ins with him in the past. This time he broke off their name from their mailbox and tossed it, and prior to that left a note on their mailbox saying that he knows they were the ones that stole his tools, and if they don't give them back, he's going to call the cops. More crazy. These people are kind and would never do such a thing as well. They are both elderly and one is going through chemo right now. Highly doubtful that they would go out of their way to climb down their driveway in the middle of the day and steal tools they already have. Along with some other odd stuff, he has totally given up on yard care or trash removal. Several feral cats live in and around his place of varying ages. If you think I can get any action on them, you have not read my past posts. Animal control is not a thing that happens here. He has also given up on any type of home care. Several things look askew. I think the outward look of his place matches the inward mental state, to be honest. Anyway, at the hearing today, I was not present but heard from my inside informant, he turned down yet another offer to take a plea deal, see past history in my profile of Crazy Neighbor from Hell stories, and prior to that, back in April they filed to send out subpoenas to get depositions of certain parties, most likely me and SO. While out cutting brush back from the road, I heard a car going down our difficult driveway, and sure enough, there stuck in our lock of the gate was magical paperwork, the subpoena. Admittedly, Hooterville, this is our county's police force idea of serving a subpoena. No, technically we did not sign for it, and yes, technically they are supposed to do it in person by an officer of the law to witness receipt, but whatever, I got it and took it back to the house. Mostly because I really want the trial to be over with and done. I have waited 2 years, folks. So I figured it would be for both myself and my SO, but nope, just the SO. See, things didn't go well for this same lawyer who lost at the last court trial when I was on the stand at our civil suit. The one to get the fence moved out of our easement, so I don't think he wants round 2 with me. I am not a lawyer, but I know enough of what to say and get by the judge enough to get things on the record that defense lawyers don't like. I am more patient and calm, SO is more temperamental, so I think they are figuring they can rattle SO during the deposition and possibly later on the stand. And it is a jury trial this time, so they are hoping to get the jury to see us as the crazy ones and Crazy Neighbor as the sweet angel of neighborly love that he is. So I have some coaching to do to try and keep SO calm and hopefully not fly off the handle regardless of how deservedly pissed off he and the rest of us are. The jury trial has not been set to my knowledge, but probably late June or sometime in July. Stay tuned, I will try to let you know how that all turns out. Meanwhile, sad news on the horses. 2 of them died, a youngish colt and the oldest horse he owned. They were both in bad shape, not walking right at all, and he feeds them old hay that is probably mostly rotten. They were out in his pasture for nearly a week, the corpses just laying there in the rain. Very sad. This was back in February, thankfully, or the smell would have been pretty bad. So, since the breeding stallion was taken away last fall and 2 died, he has basically 5 left. Those 5 look pretty bad, very thin, he brings in hay but not good quality. And yes, I have called the authorities in our state, and no, they have done nothing. It is a travesty. Apparently there are only 2 vets in the entire state, north and south, that are on call to check things out, and they simply don't have the resources to deal with this. What they do is call the cops and ask. The cops tell them, horses look good to us. And they just take their word for it. This was after I sent good pictures to the state animal welfare board. Well, the cops are not trained to know what a healthy horse is. Last summer that idiot cop looked at the one that is now dead and said, "Oh, that horse is fine, just a summer weight. We had training just last month on this." Well, the horse's genitalia was sticking out and swollen and covered in sores and would not retract. If you know anything about horses, that is not good. I knew it would not be long, and I was right. I tried, people, I really did. I called everyone I could for these animals, and I just gave up because nobody cared. And I wrote a really pissed off letter to the animal welfare board when they died, so now they probably won't help at all. My bad. I had noticed the colt was not walking right and would only leave the barn when CNFH would go in and scare him out of there. So this supposed champion race horse breeder was just barely keeping care of these animals. And still is. Oddly enough, after I called the state, the fence got repaired and there has not been a loose horse since last fall. Tune in next time for adventures in CNFH land and the deposition and later the trial. And the next one is titled, Crazy Neighbor from Hell Gets More Arrests and Tickets, He is Going Down Folks. Okay, the trial for Crazy Neighbor from Hell is coming up in late August for the horses getting out, and I will post the results, but folks, there's more goodies to dine on. We have a handy way of checking on court records here in our state online, and instead of just listing my county, which is what I normally do, I decided to check all the courts in the state. Well, looks like along with driving while suspended here in our county, he has also got 2 of the same charges in other counties as well. Court costs, lawyer fees, and he has had another drunk driving charge we didn't know about. That was expensive, about $800 in all, plus lawyer fees, tow fees, getting the car out of impound, bail, etc. All of this happened in June. He wondered why he was home all the time, and now we know. He cannot drive or drives very seldom. He had borrowed a car from someone to sneak around in, but now it is broken down and dead in the yard. So he is back to using the broken down truck, and I mean it is literally a janky piece of crap truck, and sneaking around, but a neighbor informed the local police exactly all 3 vehicles that he's been driving and what their license plate numbers are. Karma is following Crazy Neighbor from Hell, and we are watching him like hawks. His property goes up for auction in late August as well. He hasn't paid taxes in 2 years. We are hoping whoever gets it at auction actually ends up with it. He has a chance to pay back taxes for 1 year. Last time he wriggled out of it at the last minute. This time, will he have the money? Time will tell. We think he is either out of money or just a crazy misser that doesn't pay things on time and somehow enjoys late fees. More soon, folks. Stay tuned for more adventures of the Crazy Neighbor from Hell. And the next one is titled, That Time That Crazy Neighbor from Hell Put Up a Billboard About His Neighbors. Okay, so about 10 years ago, when Crazy Neighbor from Hell was just beginning his drunken journey down Crazy Boulevard, apparently something happened to his horses that he wasn't happy about. Or it was all in his imagination, or as my neighbors believe, it was one of his other personalities. Interesting theory, by the way. Doesn't matter, but what came next was epic. We did not live here yet, but in between visits he decided to climb the electricity pole, not legal, and put up 2 big plywood signs, also not legal, calling us out by name and stating that we were abusers of animals, liars and thieves, evil people, trespassers. Anyway, it was somewhat humorous because the only other person that comes down our very long dead-end road is the male lady, and I am sure she could give 2 craps. The best part is that he has done all of these things himself, a major case of projection. So over the months they faded, they were paper mounted to plywood and fell down, and I think one of them was taken down by the power company. He's been known to leave notes on the neighbor's mailbox stating all kinds of crazy stuff that is basically his own imagination. Bonus sad story, I wrote to the state horse rescue to report his horses looking very bad. I said I would supply pictures to them if they wanted and warned them about the crazy that they might run into if they came here, but gave them permission to park on my place if needed. I will follow up if anything happens with that. I am not holding my breath, I have doubts, but at least I tried, and now for the 3rd time to do something about the starving animals that look like hell. I have a mixture of anger and heartbreak over these innocent animals standing there day after day with hardly any food or water. People suck, especially the crazy neighbor from hell. And the last one for today is titled, Finally, the horse vet examines crazy neighbor from hell's horses with a cop in tow. The continuing saga of crazy neighbor from hell and his neglected horses. Earlier tonight, my SO and I decided to take a walk down the road, totally random, not connected to the events that happened next. Our timing is sort of freaky this way. We get down to our gate area and see an SUV sitting there, backed into our gate, and watched it for a while when we finally realized that it was a county sheriff's vehicle, no markings on the back, hard to tell, cannot see in the windows. The deputy eventually gets out and says that he is here to meet two vets with a horse trailer and that they are following up a report of neglect. Wow people, it finally worked, because I put in a report last week to a horse rescue place a few counties over as my final attempt to get action and help those poor horses. So we are chatting with the officer. He's a K9 with a dog in the car, and he says that CNFH won't answer the door, though he is clearly at home at the bottom of the hill. I figure he's probably high or drunk and doesn't want to be busted right there and then. With 3 outstanding tickets for driving on a suspended license, he's probably not having a good time. While we are standing there, up comes a big truck and another with a horse trailer. Apparently these folks mean business. The officer invites us to stay and watch the action, but we declined and went back to our house because I didn't want to agitate CNFH if he came up the hill. Seriously, however, they caught him with his pants down this time. Nothing has been mowed at all this year. The whole place is weeds 5 feet tall, including his front yard and the barnyard. The horses last week looked terrible, and I am sure they were not any better tonight. No food for them, no hay, and probably very little water. I get back and the neighbor across the valley has called twice. Apparently the cop came up her hill first, wrong GPS directions, and told her what was what. She spilled the beans about CNFH covering probably the last 10 years, knowing her, and that he is driving a different vehicle with out-of-state plates now. Oh really? Asks the cop. I better look him up with all those tickets and see if that car is where it's supposed to be. We were sitting on our porch listening for crazy yelling, gunshots, whatever, because you just never know, and then the skeeters got too bad, so we came back in the house. I checked my other mail and sure enough, the horse rescue place had responded. It's an account I don't check often and use for anonymous reporting, etc. I am really glad something is happening now for the horse's sake. Looks like someone finally cared at last. We'll update this story as details are revealed. And guys, please let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this Neighbor from Hell saga so far. And as I mentioned before, these stories kind of remind me of the Just No Mother-in-Law sagas, and I don't really think the cliffhangers are too bad. I just find the story really interesting, so we will definitely read it until the end. I suppose we will be finished with the story in about 2 videos, so it is not much longer. And guys, unfortunately we have already reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories, and if you haven't already, please also go to patreon.com/ripeyoutube, where I upload exclusive Reddit videos starting at just $3 a month. This is a great way to support me in case you are interested, and the chance for me to become independent from YouTube revenue. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.